What is going on, everyone? Misha Wilson here, coming at you for another episode of the Misha Wilson Show. As always, if you get value, give me some comments, likes, hearts, and shares. If you're watching on YouTube, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon notification button if you get value. And today I'm going to be talking about the number one factor in you going ahead and achieving success or not achieving success. And the number one thing that will either catapult you towards your dreams or hold you back and keep you stuck and overwhelmed and not making progress in your journey. So with that said, going to go ahead and dive right in. Once again, let me know what your biggest takeaway was in the comments section below. I love reading each and every single comment, and I try to reply to each and every single one as well. With that said, I don't know if you're a sports fan. I don't know if you follow any of the various sports. It's the NBA right now. For those of you who know my story, I'm an old tennis player. I played, kind of really serious junior tennis all the way up to semi-professional tennis before going ahead and dealing with an injury. And so I watch all the sports. I watch tennis. I watch football sometimes. I watch football come playoffs. I love watching basketball. I love that it's a team sport, bunch of action, bunch of, moving parts, getting the team kind of working together. So many different things kind of, transfer over to the business world when it comes to sports. And for those of you who don't watch sports, you guys missed out on quite, a spectacular show by the Denver Nuggets last night and actually over the course of the last few days. And you missed out on the lesson that I want to go ahead and share with you here today. So essentially, the Denver Nuggets are playing the Los Angeles Clippers. And the Clippers are one of the two teams. The Clippers and the Lakers have kind of been the two teams that throughout the year have really been kind of hyped up as these are the guys to beat. These are the guys to go ahead and knock off. And one of these two teams are going to win, right? These two teams are going to meet in the conference finals. And whoever wins that series is going to go ahead and win the championship. And the Los Angeles Clippers, I personally believe, are probably the deepest, most stacked, talent-wise team in the league. The Lakers have, I think, the best top two players on their team. But then after that, the Clippers just have guys for days, right? They can throw 6, 7 different bodies at you, all of which can score 15, 20 points a night, and all of which are extremely good basketball players. So as a Los Angeles Laker fan, and obviously a LeBron fan, as you can see, I was kind of a little bit nervous about the Clippers, and I was kind of silently rooting for the Nuggets just so the Lakers didn't have to go ahead and play the Clippers. But with that said, I would have never wanted for it to go the way that it went. Being an athlete, having walked through the shoes the Clippers essentially walked through last night and the path that they walked down last night, I know the pain. And essentially what happened is the Clippers ended up getting up 3-1 in the series, and this will all tie in just a minute. But the Clippers ended up getting up 3-1 in the series, and, playing to 4, they only need one more game. And then in each and every single one of the games, they had a double-digit point lead. In Game 5, playing to win at 4-1, they had a 16-point lead in the third quarter. So the game's, over halfway done. They're up 16 points, and they end up blowing it, and they lose by over 10. In Game 6, they have a 19-point lead in the third quarter, almost a 20-point lead with more than half of the game gone, absolutely crushing the Nuggets. They blow it and end up losing by 12, literal 30-point swings in the third and fourth quarter. And then in Game 7 last night, they end up being up by 12 in the second quarter. They're up by 2.5. And they essentially just go away come the third and fourth quarter. Literally, they cannot hit a shot. Their two best guys end up going, I believe, 0 for 12 or 0 for 22 or something crazy in the fourth quarter. 0 points combined. And it ends up just kind of being, a meltdown of epic proportions. And really, more than anything, the lesson that it shared, I was talking with a buddy before the actual game, and he said, hey, who do you think is going to win this game? And I said, it all depends on what the score is at halftime. And essentially, I said, it was kind of interesting because, again, the last few games, I could have been wrong. The last few games, the Clippers were way ahead at halftime, and the Nuggets still managed to come back. But with this game, what I knew as an athlete, or at least kind of what I really believed being a former athlete, is that if the Nuggets could hang around, if the Nuggets could, present a close game come third quarter, come halfway through the third quarter, if it was still close, the Clippers were going to go ahead and explode. And the reason why was because, again, they had just had those two meltdowns previously. And if the Nuggets gave the Clippers enough time to start thinking about it, enough time for the mental game to start working against them instead of working for them, which clearly it did in the fourth quarter. I've never seen, anything as bad from a group of, more talented guys. And if the Nuggets gave the Clippers the ability and the chance for that to go ahead and happen, I thought it was going to happen. I've played tennis matches where I was up 6-1, 5-2 in the second set, and then I'm up 5-3, and then I'm up 5-4, and then all of a sudden it's 5-all. Then I lose the second set, and then that third set is the hardest thing to deal with because you're focusing on what just happened mentally. You're focusing on the past instead of looking into the future and figuring out how you can change, once again, based on learning lessons from the past and creating your future. And really, at the end of the day, the reason why the Clippers lost, the reason why, the whole team ended up melting down, the reason why some people are so successful and some people aren't so successful, all comes down to the number one thing that will make or break your success, and that is mindset. And yesterday, the game yesterday was a perfect example of why we put so much emphasis here at SAN on mindset, why we have our curriculum, the Project Prosperity curriculum that we have each and every single person who's a pro or above go ahead and go through in their actual journey, why we constantly, always, and every single training we go ahead and do, bring it back to mindset, because the truth of the matter is the Clippers were above and beyond good enough to win the series and to win that game. The Clippers had all the talent to win that game. The Clippers knew what they had to do tactically to win that game. The Clippers knew what they had to do strategically to win that game. There was some horrible coaching, I'll give you that, but they had the skill sets, they had the tactics, and they had the strategies, yet they still didn't get it done. And the reason they didn't get it done came down to the demons that they dealt with, came down to their mindset in the moment, came down to how their mindset and how the past events in their life affected the future events or the current events that they were going through on that court. And one thing we always have to do in kind of the game of business, we're kind of on a court all the time. We're playing a game, and it's just a slightly different game. It's an intellectual game. It's not a game of, physical dominance or physical power. But what we have to understand is, as business owners or aspiring business owners, and give me some comments, likes, hearts, and shares, all that jazz. If you guys are getting value, let me know in the comments section below if you deal with some mental stuff. I know I do personally, and it's something I'm always working on. But what we always have to be aware of are the various stories that we're bringing from the past into the future. The various events that we've dealt with in the past that, instead of just leaving in the past, we're bringing into the present and then projecting into the future based on dealing with experiences that were uncomfortable, based on dealing with experiences that were painful, based on dealing with experiences that made you feel kind of embarrassed or shameful. When we first launched SAN, just a quick story that ties in, when we first launched SAN, I had a live event, and I was really excited. I was really fired up. I was going to get hundreds of people in the room. We had a bunch of momentum. And I was extremely passionate about everything we were doing, and I still am. But it was just that first kind of, momentum, that wave of momentum that we were riding. And I was, completely and totally passionate and fired up about everything for 16 hours a day, all the time. And I had this grand idea of doing this huge event out in Hawaii. And I had no clue what I was doing with event promotion. I had no clue that I should not do an event in the middle of the Pacific Ocean and make everyone travel that far. I thought everyone would love it and come to Hawaii. And I was massively wrong. And, I signed the contracts with the hotels. I spent a bunch of money out of pocket. It was probably a $70,000 or $80,000 event. And I was going to have hundreds of people there. And we ended up with about 25 people there in the room at that event. And everyone saw it. You know, promoting a live event, doing a live event is an experience that essentially you put out in the world, and then people can see how many people get to the event by looking at pictures of the room. And you can either crush it or you can be crushed, right? And that experience, that live event, I loved the live event. I mean, it was an awesome live event. It was probably the best $97 live event ever. And for those of you who were there that first immersion experience live on Maui, I think you guys will back that up. But, you know, just essentially going through that process, what I realized about myself is for about the next year or so, I had this scar tissue around live events. I knew I needed to do a live event, but I couldn't get myself to sign the paperwork, you know? I couldn't get myself to sell myself on having the ability to fill the room. I couldn't get myself to sell myself on being able to host a killer live event and having people in the room to go ahead and host the event too, because I had gone through that painful experience. And it wasn't until I stopped, I recognized, I became aware of, and then I changed the story that I was telling myself around live events. And instead of, you know, kind of falling into the trap in the story of, God, you know, I can't do a live event. I've tried to do live events. They don't work. I've tried to fill a room. I can't fill a room, which would have been really easy to do at that time. I had to get clear on, look, I did that event. I fucked up everything with the promotion in that event. I did everything completely and totally backwards when it comes to the promotion in the event. I did it, you know, in the worst location, even though it sounded awesome because it was on Maui. I was making everyone travel and spend thousands of dollars just to go ahead and get to the event. I had no urgency in the actual promotion. I had no special offers. I had no, you know, anything other than, hey, I'm hosting this cool event. It's going to cost you thousands. You should come. I didn't have a specific outcome that people would go ahead and attain from attending the event, all of which are things that I now know I need. But essentially, I had to get clear on the realization that, look, I fucked this thing up. I messed this thing up, but also I have the power to change it. And because I messed up in the past, it does not mean that I have to mess up in the future. Because I made a mistake in the past, what it means is that I can learn from that mistake and then continue to move forward and become better, stronger, and, you know, just essentially more efficient and effective at filling rooms, you know, in the context of live events, getting people in rooms, you know, hosting profitable live events and hosting events that at the end of the day build an extremely strong community, drive profits for the business, and drive revenue for the company overall. And until I left that story in the past, until I got clear on the fact that it was a story, that it was not reality, and that I had the option and ability to leave it in the past, if I just do that, leave it in the past, that kind of crippled me. And unfortunately for the Clippers, the story that they were telling themselves last night about, you know, maybe we don't have the chemistry, maybe we don't know how to close. God, we should have closed the last two games. I can't believe we're still in this series. All of those demons started to come up and ended up biting them in the butt. And one of the things we have to realize as entrepreneurs is we are playing a game. We're playing a game of business. We're playing an intellectual game. And if we aren't clear on the stories we're telling ourselves that are holding us back or moving us forward, chances are that there's quite a few running on autopilot, and chances are they're holding us back more than moving us forward, because that's just human tendency. So spend some time, look at the stories, look at, you know, what you're telling yourself that isn't true, and then look at how you can shift that paradigm so that once again, you can go ahead and leave the past in the past, operate in the present, and create the new, brighter, cooler, better future that I know you're after. And if you can just do that one thing, once again, mindset is the single thing that will either make or break your success. And so once again, it's the thing above all else that you absolutely have to focus on. So with that said, I hope you got a ton of value. If you did, don't forget to go ahead and give me some comments, likes, hearts, and shares. If you're watching on Facebook, if you're watching on YouTube, don't forget to go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit that bell icon notification button. And as always, let me know what your biggest takeaway was in the comments section below. I try reading each and every single comment, and I try to try to reply to each and every single one as well. Love to hear all your takeaways and always enjoy interacting with each and every single one of you. As always, hope you got a ton of value. Till next time, over and out.